Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. It is a great honor to reconvene to study Torah. Our apologies. We know that Professor Rosensweig got stuck in a bike tour that you were biking or you were driving? No. So our apologies and our gratitude that you made your way all the way to New Jersey despite the challenges. Professor Smadar Rosensweig serves as an associate professor of Bible at Stern College. Through her shiurim and her personal mentorship, Professor Rosensweig is educating and inspiring the next generation of women in our community with the highest levels of Torah scholarship and the deepest commitment to Yiras Shamayim. As I shared with you earlier, Stern College has started this year with incredible vitality and tremendous vibrancy. There was an amazing Shabbos of just connection and spirit. And so much of that is a manifestation of the substance and the sense of spirituality that is brought to that environment by the scholarship and by the personalities of those who bring the world of Torah to our young women. Professor Rosensweig lectures all over the United States and is a sought-after speaker for the depth and profundity of her insight, layered with an unparalleled enthusiasm and simchas HaTorah. Professor Rosensweig will be speaking about experiencing the presence of Hashem in Elul and Tishrei. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here today. I also want to mention that the shiur is sponsored by Sharon and Rabbi Richard Alman in memory of their beloved son, Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu Alman. Yeah. Okay, the entire period that we recite La David Hashem Orivi Ishi is a special time for Am Yisrael and Hashem. We recited from Rosh Chodesh Elul to Hoshana Rabbah, and the Abu Draham elucidates what's so special about Elul. We know the phrase Ani l'dodi v'dodi li, this connection that we have with Hashem, like a relationship, like a marriage, one that is really reciprocal, mutual love and affection between us, Am Yisrael, and Hashem, and us as individuals and Hashem. What I'd like to develop today is this relationship. How do we see this relationship in the constant use of the phrase Lifnei Hashem? In a lot of the material that we're going to see in Tanakh, in the Rishonim, in the Gemara, in Chazal, we have the phrase Lifnei Hashem, before Hashem. And the Rav Yosef Dov Alevi Soloveitchik lovingly always really use this phrase. And what I'd like to do today is really show in the details, in the nitty-gritty, how we really see this throughout this whole time period. And when we start in Rosh Chodesh Elul, it's really from Rosh Chodesh Elul all the way to the end of Sukkot. So this is a very special time period in Am Yisrael where we are really seeking out Hashem, and Hashem seeks us. And I think it's very important for us, we're in the middle of Elul, towards the end, but it's very important for us during Elul, before Yamim Noraim, to really focus on this aspect of our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Rav Chaim of Volozhin postulates in Nefesh HaChaim that Tshuva Me'ava is most effectively attained with Limud Torah. And what we're going to be doing today is trying to reach Avas Hashem and this close connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the highest level that you can really attain through Limud Torah. And that is really the way that we come closer to Hashem. Of course, through Tshuva and Masim Tovim, but also this idea of Limud, that it's a very important core value of our life. Also, we have it in the phrase from Haftarat Shabbat Shuvah, Chu imachem dvarim. When you take with you words, and which words are we taking with us? We're taking the words of Divrei Torah. And that's very important for us to really come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to feel Lifnei Hashem. So our learning today is very appropriate to get us closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to really prepare us for Yamim Noraim. I'd like to start with a quote and a paraphrase from Rav Rosensweig, Rav Michael Rosensweig Shlita. And the special emphasis of Elul is perhaps reflected in the primary motif of Le David Hashem Orivi Ishi. The Malbim notes that this parak of Tehillim accentuates the desire for an enduring and deeper connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It conveys the theme that Dvekut b'Hashem is the ultimate goal, rather than just a means to some other end, which means this idea of Lifnei Hashem is this concept of Dvekut b'Hashem, is our connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's not a means to an end, oh, we're doing Dvekut b'Hashem so we can be X. That is also a means, a goal in and of itself. And that is accented, and we'll see, in Le David Hashem Orivi Ishi. So achieving a genuine relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu eclipses all other interests. All other requests are significant only to the extent that they facilitate and enhance this relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Achat sha'alti me'et Hashem ota avakesh, shifti b'veit Hashem kol yimei chayai. And that is our ambition, to sit in the house of Hashem and attain that special relationship. And that is really what Elul and what this whole time period is about. So I really want to emphasize this core theme throughout my she'ur today. And another idea that we're going to see is that when Moshe went up to Har Sinai, the last piece, when he was going up to daven for Bnei Israel because of Chet HaEgel, was from Rosh Chodesh Elul, and he comes down on Yom Kippur when he brings down the Luchot Shniim. And also, we see that right after that, he taught Bnei Israel, not according, even according to Shitat Ramban, right? Moshe teaches Bnei Israel about the halachot of the Mishkan, which means what I would like to emphasize today is that not only do we end this time period of relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the end of Yom Kippur, the whole point of Sukkot is v'samachta b'chagecha and usmachtem lifnei Hashem shivas yamim, is also this idea. How do you come off the high of Yom Kippur and make that incorporated into your life? Sukkot helps us do that, to get to that stage of really having simcha and realizing that our relationship with Hashem is, of course, yira, v'fachad, but it's also this idea of simchu, ivdu et Hashem b'simcha. And that's a very important part also of our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I'd like to start with our Mizmor Tehillim that we say every day, Le David Hashem Orivi Ishi. We see in Tehillim Perek Kaf Zayin, we're in source number 1, that when we start with Le David Hashem Orivi Ishi, we are trying to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you look at Pasuk Daled, Achat sha'alti me'et Hashem, right? We're asking one thing. And what is this one thing that we want? Shifti b'veit Hashem kol yimei chayai. We want to live in the house of Hashem all the days of our life. It's not like, okay, we want to achieve this for a moment, right? And we have the famous also Perek Tehillim, Mi ale b'har Hashem u'mi yakom b'mkod kodsho. It's easy sometimes to get to that moment of high, to get to that level, right? To reach the top of the mountain. But how do you stay there? How do you stay with this relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So that's what we want. Shifti b'veit Hashem kol yimei chayai. Our preparation today in Elul and through Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot is a preparation for the whole year. How do we stay living in b'veit Hashem? How do we live in this kind of sustained connection with our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? We say, Shiviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. What does that mean, tamid? How do we get to that? That's what Elul and Yamim Noraim and Sukkot really help us attain. And what do we want to do? Lachazot b'noam Hashem ulevaker b'heichalo. We want to see the Noam Hashem. We want to be part of it, but not just to experience it, but feel it face to face. And that's the theme that I'd like to develop today, this idea of Lifnei Hashem, face to face, feeling the Pnei HaShechina with us all the time. And I think that's something very important for us to really remember on a day-to-day basis. In Pasuk Zayin, Shema Hashem koli ekra v'chaneni v'aneni. How do we get to this point? We have to cry out to Hashem. It's not just, okay, I'm here, hello, right? We have to cry out to Hashem. It's a reciprocal relationship. It's our effort that has to be really put in, and we have to invest. Pasuk chet, lecha amar libi bakshu panai et panecha. Hashem avakesh. So what does that mean? Are we just calling out to Hashem with our voices? No. We want to be face to face with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And again, we're going to see this theme ubiquitous throughout all of the material that we're going to see for Elul, Yamim Noraim, and Sukkot. What are we asking for? Look at the Malbim in number 2. What are we asking for? Tzien, Shelibo diber el Hashem. Our hearts are speaking to Hashem. When we're calling out to Hashem, it's not just, oh, we're speaking to Hashem. We have to pour out our heart to Hashem. And what are we asking Hashem? We're asking Hashem that my face, bakshu panai, my face, want shidiber el panav. We want our face to speak to your face. What does that mean? And in all the psukim that the Malbim explains here, he speaks about this idea of dvekut, this idea of face to face. Many times we feel we don't have the temerity, we don't have the chutzpah to feel, oh, I could be face to face with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who am I? And it's true. In one pocket, we have Anuchi Afar Va'efer. Who am I to come face to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? But in the other pocket, Bishvili nivra ha'olam, the world was created for me. Hashem wants us to have this relationship. The theme of Elul is to have this face-to-face relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to want to be face-to-face to Hashem. Now that's hard, because to feel that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in your face all the time is something that is very terrifying. But that's what we want, because we want to develop this kind of relationship that we have this kind of communication with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what we're looking for. And that's why Pasuk Tet says, Al taster panecha mimeni. Don't hide your face from me. Because we want to have this kind of connection. Al tat ba'af avdecha ezrati hayita, al titsheni va'al tazveni. Don't leave me, which means we are courageous enough to ask for this relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And as Malbim says, it's this face-to-face relationship. It's this dvekut b'Hashem. We have to have the guts. We say this every single day, and we have to know what it means. We are really asking Hashem to live in His house and to be face-to-face and have this special relationship. And that's what Elul, Yamim Noraim, and Sukkot is all about. Who really taught us this idea in a very intense way? It's Chana. On the first day of Rosh Hashanah, when we're starting the Aser Simei Tshuva, whose Haftorah do we read? We read the story of Chana, because Chana is the one who really taught us. How do you do that? When she was in the depths of despair, she feels so alienated from Hashem. She is barren. She is feeling that she has been left behind. She picks herself up and she cries out to Hashem. And what does she do? Look in Shmuel Aleph, Perek Aleph, and number 3, Pasuk Yud. V'hi marat nefesh. She's very bitter. Now, sometimes you're saying, oh, when I come close to Hashem, maybe I only could be b'simcha. Maybe I only have to be in a certain state of mind. And I can't be bitter. I can't be angry. I can't be anguished. I just am in the middle of doing Nach Yomi for the OU Women's Initiative, and I'm doing Eov, which is a very intense sefer. And the idea there is that even if you're mar nefesh, even if you're bitter, even if you have these feelings, your answer, your connection is with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Chana, who's in the depths of despair, v'hi marat nefesh, v'titpalel al Hashem u'bachot tivkeh. She davens to Hashem, and she cries, and she says, look at Pasuk Yud Aleph, Imra otir bo'oni amatecha. If you see my anguish, again, this idea of seeing, connecting directly to Hashem and being in Hashem's sight. You have to see me. If you see me and don't forget me, then she pours out her heart to Hashem. And Pasuk Yud Bet, V'haya ki hirbeta litpalel lifnei Hashem. Again, what did Chana realize? She realized that she has to be lifnei Hashem, before Hashem. And when she explains to Eli, who says, what are you doing? She says, I'm pouring out my heart to Hashem. V'eshpoch et nafshi lifnei Hashem. And the Malbim explains we see four things that came together here that really make this tefillah so powerful. One, Aleph, this is source number 4 of the Malbim. Shehi atzma hayta marat nefesh, v'Hashem shomea tfilat nishbarei lev. Sometimes when you are so broken, you are so anguished, Hashem hears your tefillah because it comes from the depths of your soul. Vatitpalel al Hashem, bet, shitpalala b'chavana shlema al Hashem levado. She only davens to Hashem. Last night, right, or this morning, I should say, when we were all in shul and we were saying slichos, right, there's one slicha that says, oh, ask the malachim and ask those who are mevakesh rachamim to ask Hashem for rachamim. And there's the big debate. We don't need intermediaries, right? And say, oh, you could say it because you're really just asking the intermediaries to push your tefillah directly to Hashem, even though you need no intermediaries. But what is the main point here is that we all have access to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We don't need intermediaries. We don't need intervention. What the Malbim is saying that Chana taught us so profoundly is that she's davening lifnei Hashem al Hashem. This direct connection is also very important for us to understand. There are no barriers between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have direct access, and we have to implement that and make sure that we feel that during these days, any day, but especially during this time period. Gimel uvachot tivche, she cries out to God, v'sharei dim'a lo nin'alu la'olam. And the gates of tears, right, are never shut. Because it's not superficial, oh, you're crying, you get what you want. Tears many times, and even if you don't have tears, but the idea of bechi, of yevava, right? We talk about the shofar as a crying. There are no tears coming out of the shofar, right? But the point is, it teaches you how do you really dig down to your soul and reach out to Hashem. So whether it's crying with tears or without, but your soul is crying out to Hashem. Because we see what she says is va'ishpochet nafshi lifnei Hashem. And if you look at number 5, when we're speaking about Moshe and Egel HaZahav, we're coming now to Aseret Yemei Tshuva. As I said earlier, the luchot, the second luchot, are really fashioned on Rosh Chodesh Elul and through Aseret Yemei Tshuva, and then Moshe brings them down on Yom Kippur. What did Moshe ask from HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Look at source number 5 in Shemot Perek Lamed Gimel. What Moshe asked from HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Harini Nat Kvodecha, this theme that we're discussing, which means Moshe wants to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He wants to see the kavod of Hashem. And what does Hashem say? You, even Moshe Rabbeinu, who spoke to Hashem panim el panim, can't see the full glory of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But Hashem is going to pass on Moshe's face because a man can't see Hashem completely, the glory of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and live. But he says, I will do this special thing for you. So again, in Elul, during Aseret Yemei Tshuva, what does Moshe see? Moshe asks to see the kavod of Hashem. Panim el panim. That's the theme that we're trying to develop. Moshe realized to get kapara for Am Yisrael for the Egel, he has to have a face-to-face conference with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And what does Moshe do? He goes on Har Sinai, we're in Perek Lamed Daled, he takes the Luchot Avanim, and Hashem comes down, Be'anan vayityatzeh v'mosham vayikra b'shem Hashem. What do we say in Slichos all the time? This is what we say in Slichos over and over and over again. Why? Just say it once. We get the idea. Moshe went. Hashem brought himself down. He comes before Moshe and he tells him all his midot. Why do we say it over and over again? We have to feel that experience of coming lifnei Hashem. The midot of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, coming face to face, that is an integral part of Slichos. We say it in Slichos, and then in the end, when we're saying Ne'ilah, we say this over and over and over again. We begin this time period and we end the intense Slicha time period with this connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Of Vayered Mosham, Vayikra b'shem Hashem, Vayavor Hashem al panav. That is what we are trying to experience. And it wasn't just for Moshe Rabbeinu. You can say Moshe Rabbeinu, right? He saw Aspaklaya Mi'ira. He saw HaKadosh Baruch Hu face to face, not for us. It's for us. We say it all the time. That is how we're connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu during our slichos. That's how we're connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu at Ne'ilah. by calling out to Hashem, by reenacting in our minds this experience of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe, of Moshe with Pnei Hashem. And I think that's important for us to really try to get ourselves into that moment when we are davening in our lives that we are Lifnei Hashem. Now, we can't be on Har Sinai at this moment all of our lives. And that's why Yom Kippur is Achas B'Shana. Yom Kippur is only one day of the year because you can't be in this mode all year. But it's something that we aspire to because having that experience leaves its resonance for the entire year. And we have to go through this every year because we have to rejuvenate ourselves every single year and know that there's a moment that we can have this encounter with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that this encounter with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is really necessary for all our lives. And that's why Yom Kippur is a mitzvah to say that everybody has to experience. So what is teshuvah in this context or relationship with Hashem? Again, if you look in Dvarim Perek Lamed, where it speaks specifically about teshuvah in general and uses the language of teshuvah, we see in Perek Lamed Pasuk Bet, I will start with Aleph, Vashivota elavavecha. What is teshuvah? You go into galut, and then you have to do teshuvah. Vashivota elavavecha. You have to pull yourself to return to Hashem. And what will you do? Pasuk Bet, V'shavta ad Hashem Elokecha. You're going to return all the way to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Again, all the way to Hashem. It's this relationship that you have to come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and listen to his voice. Pasuk Gimel, and then V'shav Hashem Elokecha Tzvutcha. Then Hashem is going to help you come, which means we make the initiative and then Hashem pulls us in. And this relationship, this reciprocal relationship, and all the way to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a very important theme that we see all the time. The Malbim explains, we're in number 7 in Bet. What's V'shavta ad Hashem Elokecha? Haino gam ken ki mitzuveh al mitzvat hatshuva. This is not only talking about, when you're in Galut and Hashem will bring you back. It's not just about Shivat Zion. This is about Teshuvah. What is this promise? V'gam ha'aftacha sheyashuvu ad Hashem. Wherever you are, you could return all the way to Hashem. Not just, we'll return back to Eretz Yisrael. But we're going to return all the way to a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And what does that mean? Third line, Hu moreh ala hachana v'hishtokekut. Lekayem mitzvat Hashem. We're yearning to go back all the way to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to fulfill his mitzvot. It has to be a yearning to come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It has to be a hishtokekut. It's not just, I got to do tshuva, I'm going to do all the right things. It has to be a yearning. It has to be from the depths of your soul. And then all the halachot and things that you can't do, eventually you'll be able to do bechol nafshecha, bechol levavcha, uvechol nafshecha. Shetiye lecha klot hanefesh lekaimam. You have to put your soul on the line to want to do Dvar Hashem. It's not just something that you do superficially. This is something that has to be all the way internalized. And as we saw with Chana, and Chana's message did not just go on deaf ears. We see her son Shmuel, who was almost compared to Moshe Rabbeinu, when he wants to get Bnei Israel to do tshuva, he also exhorts them. Look at 8, Shmuel Aleph Perek Zayin. We see, Im b'chol levavchem atem shavim el Hashem. What is the speech Shmuel gives Bnei Israel? When he gets them all together, when he is the Ro'eh, the Navi for Am Yisrael, and Bnei Israel are doing Chata'im, he says you have to do complete tshuva. B'chol levavchem, you have to return to Hashem. And you have to worship Hashem levado. The same language that his mother used, Al Hashem. Vayavdu et Hashem levado. How did he do it? Look at Pasuk Vav. Vayishavu mayim. Vayishpechu lifnei Hashem. When you pour out the water, it was a symbol that you're pouring out your heart, lifnei Hashem. Again, over and over and over again, we're seeing this phrase of lifnei Hashem, pnei Hashem, the house of Hashem, being with Hashem. Everything that we talk about when we talk about tshuva, and especially our time periods, this is a very important theme. And what did they say? Chatanu la Hashem. This idea that there has to be a precursor, there has to be a preamble, pouring out your heart, crying, getting yourself ready with hachanat hanefesh is what we need in order to be able to pour out our hearts to Hashem. Look at the Malbim. What does the Malbim say? How did he wake them up to do tshuva? Rotze lomar ki mitnai hatshuva gumura hu hameiruk v'hachizuk. What does it mean to do tshuva? What does it mean to pour water? What is this water thing? Because it's the concept of purity. It's the concept of cleaning, of cleansing, of zikuch, of miruk, which means when you go to a mikvah, which we're going to talk about in a second, when we talk about Yom Kippur, we talk about tahara. What is our goal? Tahara, to have nothing separate us between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When you go to the mikvah, everything has to be clean. So you're clean already. What do you need the mikvah for? You have no chatzitza, nothing separating you. And the mikvah is a special mikveh tahara in order to come out completely purified. We don't just want to do the right thing. We want to be spotless. We want to be tahor. We want to have a relationship that has nothing separating between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's what the tshuva process is about. Not just, oh, I'll fix a few things. I mean, if we could fix a few things, that's great. I'll take anything. But the goal is really a transformation. The goal is really to make ourselves the best individuals that we can be. Not just to say, okay, I'll be a little better, which again is a great goal. But the real goal on Etzem Yom Kippur is really this idea of zikuch and tahara. But we're still in Aseret Yemei Tshuva. On Shabbat Shuvah, look at source number 9 in Hosea, the Haftarah of Shabbat Shuvah. What do we say? Shuva Yisrael ad Hashem Elokecha. You recognize the words from Dvarim, the same idea, ad Hashem Elokecha, all the way to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We don't just want to go close. We want to go super close, right? And Pasuk Gimel, as I mentioned earlier from Nefesh HaChaim, K'chu imachem divarim v'shuvu el Hashem. Tshuva is, of course, vidui and all these other things. I want to just focus on one theme for today, other shiurim, right? We focus on other themes of more vidui and kapara, but today I want to focus on the Lifnei Hashem. But how do you get to Lifnei Hashem? How do you learn to do that? Through Limud Torah. K'chu imachem dvarim. It's also, of course, vidui, but it's also the learning, as we saw. Look at Radak. What does Radak say? Quotes a beautiful medrash. Amru Razal, Gdolat Shuva shemagat ad kisei hakavod, sheneemar ad Hashem Elokecha. Our avenue to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is tshuva, to get all the way to kisei hakavod. So how do we do this? How do we get close? So what's the idea? If you look at the Rambam, the Koteret, the Rambam says very clearly, Hilchos tshuva mitzvat aseh achat. All of tshuva is just one basic, amazing idea. He has a lot of details, of course. This is the Rambam. But usually the Rambam in his Koteret has a lot of ideas. So what is the main theme that Rambam wants to say? V'hu sheyashuv achotem mechet'o lifnei Hashem v'yitvadeh. So we see this theme of lifnei Hashem everywhere. That's what tshuva is about, to be lifnei Hashem, to be before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you look at the Rambam, we're going to do number 11. Right, in Hilchos Tshuva, Perek Bet, Halacha Daled. What is a derech hatshuva? To go into galut. What does that mean, to go into galut? To be out of your comfort zone. When we're in our comfort zone, we feel comfortable with who we are. And that's wonderful. Self-confidence is important. And you should feel good about who you are. But every so often, we have to step back and just, we're happy with who we are, but we also want to feel that we want to improve. And to do that, we have to kind of go away from our comfort zone. And that is what the Rambam is saying, to go a little bit into a galut and to realize there are things that I can really improve about myself. And this is the time for us to do that. He says to go a little into galut and you cry out to Hashem and you try to reach Hashem because you want to feel like I'm transforming myself. Not that I'm becoming someone different, but I'm becoming the best version of who I can be. And to do that, we have to step back a little, step out of our comfort zone, go a little into a personal galus, and then step in and realize sometimes we don't look at ourselves closely, right? We're so comfortable with who we are, but sometimes you have to step back. Look at yourself in the mirror and think, what do I want to be? And the galut mechaperet avon. Just like we saw in Dvarim Lamed, you see the similar themes that we're seeing all over the place. Bnei Israel had to go into galut, distant from Hashem, in order to then come close. Again, look at number 12, Rambam Hilchos Tshuva Perek Bet Halacha Vav Zayin. It's wonderful to do tshuva every day of the year. Of course, we say it in Shemona Esrei, and we think about tshuva every day of the year. But in Aseret Yemei Tshuva, it's the nicest time. And why is that? Because Hashem is coming out to greet us. Dirshu Hashem Bihi Matzo. Again, Bihi Matzo. Hashem is there. Lifnei Hashem. Hashem is coming out to find us. But what's the ultimate day? Not only Aseret Yemei Tshuva, but it is Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is Zman Tshuva l'chol layachid v'larabim. Yom Kippur is a day where you have to do tshuva. It's a mitzvah to do tshuva. It's your day. And it's a day that should not be missed. Lachen, what does Rambam say? Chayavim hakol lasot tshuva ulitvadot b'yom kippurim. You have to. Which means Hashem is giving you this unbelievable gift to come close to him on Yom Kippur, that he's going to forgive you for all the avonot ben adam lamakom. We still have to do a lot of work to be forgiven for avonot ben adam lachaverob. We have to ask forgiveness from our peers. But Hashem, Yom Kippur, we do our tshuva, Hashem forgives us because Hashem wants our tshuva. And Hashem is guaranteeing us this unbelievable connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Look at number 13, the Rambam, Hilchos Tshuva, Perek Zayin Halacha Gimel. Gdolat Tshuva shemekarevet et ha'adam l'shchina. What do we want? We want to be close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What is the Rambam saying? What's so great about Tshuva? Because it brings us closer to the Shechina. Again, closeness, Lifnei Hashem, this connection, this relationship, as the Malbim mentions, Devekus b'Hashem. And again, Rambam brings all these beautiful psukim. Shuva Yisrael ad Hashem Elokecha. Lo shaftem adai ne'um Hashem. Elai tashuv. Because if you do tshuva, what are you doing? Bitidbak. We are going to have dvekus with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Cleave to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because what is tshuva? What is this time period for us? To come back close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yesterday you were hated. Sanui. And what are you today? Ahuv nechmad karov yadid. Tshuva is something that transforms us from someone who's hated and distant to all the way loved and very close. And where do we see this language the most? Look at number 14 in Vayikra. When we speak about Yom Kippur, we speak about this idea. Look at Perek Tet Zayin Pasuk Lamed. Ki bayom hazeh yechaper alechem letaher etchem mikol chatotechem lifnei Hashem titaru. What more is there to say? On Yom Kippur, it's the day that we get tahara lifnei Hashem from all our chataim, at least all our chataim that are ben adam lamakom. And if we ask tshuva from our friends, then that is the final culmination of that as well. And we only have this opportunity, achat bashana. So we have this special opportunity of lifnei Hashem to get tahara one day of this year. Look at Pasuk Lamed Daled, achat bashana. It is a special opportunity, and we should not miss it because it is this special kapara before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, achat bashana. So we have this special gift, and we should make sure that we take advantage of it. And it's lechaper alechem. Now I'm going to Vayikra Perek Kav Gimel, Pasuk Kav Chet. Why don't you do malacha? What's special about Yom Kippur? Lechaper alechem lifnei Hashem Elokechem. This kapara is also a kind of tahara of lifnei Hashem. And that's what we should really aim for. And we all know the beautiful medrash. Look at number 16 in the Gemara, Maseches Yuma, Daf Pei Hei Amud Bet. Amar Rabbi Akiva, Ashreichem Yisrael, Lifnei mi atem metaharim u'mi metaher etchem, Avichem shebashamayim. We have this unbelievable gift that not only do we do tshuva and we have a relationship with Hashem, but we are metaher ourselves lifnei Hashem, and Hashem is metaher us. This reciprocal relationship that we spoke of before. Because Bnei Israel have this experience of Yom Kippur that is like a mikveh tahara. It's like dipping yourself in a mikveh and you are coming out with this unbelievable relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this relationship is also based on our actions, but also on our tshuva. If we do tshuva miyira, look at number 17 in Maseches Yuma Daf Pei Vav Amud Bet, the famous view of Reish Lakish. If we do tshuva miyira, then all the zdonot that we did will be erased and we get back to the status quo. We're forgiven for our chata'im. But if we do tshuva me'ava, then even our zdonot becomes zchuyot. Even the chata'im that we did on purpose are turned into merits. How can that be? Because when you have a relationship with someone and you spoiled that relationship and you did things that you shouldn't do, if you speak it out with the person, sometimes if there's a loving relationship, you can speak about it and you could try to rectify it and move on. And not only did you go back to where you were before in the status quo of the relationship, you were able to move ahead with the relationship, even though you don't do those terrible things on purpose, because then you have no relationship. Same idea. If you say, or I'm going to sin and then I'll do tshuva, it doesn't work. But if you did sins, we all do sins, but you do tshuva so intensely and so real and from love, from the dveikus connected with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, Reish Lakish says, not only will that get you back to zero in your relationship, just to the status quo, you can move ahead because you're moving forward. And Rabbeinu Yonah in Shari Tshuva says so beautifully that, of course, Aseret Yemei Tshuva is Dirshu Hashem Behimatzom on number 18. And a mitzvah taseh min Torah laha'ir adam et rucho lachzor b'tshuva b'yom HaKippurim. Of course, we have an obligation to do tshuva on Yom Kippur and to prepare for it from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur. But what's so special about Yom Kippur? Mikol chatotechem lifnei Hashem titaru. Al kein hezhiranu akatuv shenitaher lifnei Hashem b'tshuvotenu v'hu yechaper aleinu bayom hazeh letaher otanu. This is a reciprocal relationship of Tara. And I just want to end with Sukkot, because it doesn't end with Yom Kippur, as I started in the beginning. So what is our goal with Yom Kippur? How do we move ahead? How do we keep this level? We can't keep that level, right? When we say Shema Yisrael and we say Hashem Hu Elokim and we say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto La'olam Va'ed, and we really are so focused on a Kodesh Baruch Hu at the end of Ne'ilah, which is really such a momentous time, we can't stay on that level for the whole year. But what's the first thing we do right after Yom Kippur? We take out the pieces for the sukkah. In our house, Rav Rosensweig insists after we finish eating, after Yom Kippur, you have to go out and get the pieces for the sukkah. You can't take them out before and you can't take them out later. It has to be right after Yom Kippur, because it has to be right after Yom Kippur, we flow into this idea of Sukkot. And what is the idea of Sukkot? The idea of the Shechina of Hashem, Hashem protecting us. V'samachta b'chagecha v'hayitach sameach. Look at number 19 in Vayikra Perek Kaf Gimel, Pasuk Mem, right? When we take the Arba Minim, and of course also when we sit in the Sukkah, Usmachtem lifnei Hashem Elokecha b'shivat yamim. Our goal after Yom Kippur is to continue that relationship. Maybe not with the same Yira v'fachad v'retet and Ava that we had on Yom Kippur, which is an amazing experience, but to have it flow into our everyday lives. And we do that through having Sukkot, that our relationship is also a relationship of Simcha, Ivdu et Hashem b'Simcha, and family and gathering, and in our homes. That's the main place where we do Sukkos. And in our Sukkah, not exactly in our home, but in our special home that's temporary, but is only straight under HaKadosh Baruch Hu, under the Shechina of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So this process that we do every year is really a process of Lifnei Hashem, different experiences of Lifnei Hashem, but that is our goal. And Lifnei Hashem means many different things and has many different aspects, and is not only Yira v'Fachad, it's Ava, it's Simcha, it's the idea of Tahara, it's this idea that our whole life is really engrossed in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's why when we start with LeDavid Hashem Orivi Ishi, what are we really asking? Shifti b'veit Hashem. We have to make a house for Hashem in our lives and in our souls. Bilvavi mishkan evneh. We have that opportunity and we have that possibility. And that's what we're trying to do now. Shifti b'veit Hashem kol yimei chayai, and lachazot b'noam Hashem. We want to see Hashem. And not only that, we want bakshu panai et panecha. We always want to seek out the face of Hashem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Rosensweig, and thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone who joined us online. We apologize for some of the technical difficulties earlier in the morning. We're glad you had the opportunity to hear the beautiful Divrei Torah, and we look forward to many more programs together in the future. Thank you to Rabbi Baum and to Keter Torah. Thank you so much.